Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 374 of A Yank on the Footy. I'm Craig Wessels coming to you from Sandusky, Ohio, and I'm glad you're checking out this episode. We're heading back down to South Australia. I'm going to be joined in just a moment by Peter from the Crowject, and we are going to be previewing his Adelaide Crows for 2025. Now, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you can find everything about the podcast over at my website, ayankonthefooty.com. I do hope you'll check it out. I do hope you'll get on the mailing list. Hoping to actually get 200 people on that mailing list here very soon. I'm getting close to that, so if you'd like to be part of that, you can head over there and click on that join the mailing list button. And if you enjoy the show, you can also click on that leave a review button as well. Be a huge help. Check me out on all my socials as well. They're linked there, and you can reach out to me on Twitter or X, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn as well, or by email to yankonthefooty@gmail.com. And I do hope you'll do that. And let's go ahead and jump into my chat with Peter from the Crowject. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am thrilled to welcome my next guest to the podcast. He is one of the hosts of the Crowject, and I am thrilled to welcome Peter to the show. And Peter, we're going to be talking all things Crows and off air. I don't think I've laughed that hard in quite some time, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic, Craig. Thank you for inviting me on, buddy. And yeah, I feel like we've just recorded a massive pre-roll, which is a lot of what we do at the project too.
We
But
we did we
yeah,
did, and I'm going to keep that story to myself. I will not be telling it on air because as much as I would love to get that out there, because I think it was absolutely one of the funniest things I've ever heard. Um, I do have a few friends who are supporters of different clubs around the league who may not want to hear that story, but I
mm,
probably will not tell them either. But so. I think we need to, first of all, we both spoke, as we were getting started here, that we're both in a way kindred spirits because we met our spouses
mm,
online.
yes,
It's and you did it more recently when it was a little bit more of a contemporary thing to do, and I did it right around the time that HBO and Showtime would have been doing like criminal investigation miniseries about
ah,
them. Uh, and it was just a little bit of an odd thing to do, but
yeah.
just a really really interesting dichotomy there. But I guess before we get started, we have to ask, how did the Crowject come about, and how did your fandom with the Crows come about, as opposed to say the other club in town?
Mm. I'll answer the second part first, and all I can say about that story from beforehand, uh, there's legal ramifications for me if that comes
Yes.
out to light, unless a couple of people pass away. Nothing sus. But look, I think the key for me, since I was born in 1988, the Crows came about in 1991. My amazing cousin David, he's a little bit older than me, but he took me to my first Crows game in '96. It was a preseason game,
Hmm.
and around that time as well, because obviously I was going through uh, early parts of school, that sort of thing. The Crows were actually doing a lot of investing their time into schools locally. So I do remember some of the players coming out to some of the school events that they did. But the other thing too, Port went around in '96, and I'm not a fan of teal.
Okay.
It's very
Okay.
it's very Carolina Panthers. It's yuck. It's very '90s. Anything that's got teal on it is just flat out disgusting. And
It's not a tealing to you.
yeah, yeah, a tealing or appealing or in any way, shape, or form. That was a good pun. But look, I think the key as well is I think I wouldn't have supported Port on principle in '97.
Hmm.
It did help that the Crows won two premierships in '97, '98. That really galvanized myself as a Crows fan.
Makes sense.
Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, went to a lot of games as a kid and everything else like that. Became a member of the club, I think, in 2013 when I started working full time, and yeah, enjoyed it from there. And going back to the spouse side of things, so my wife is from Arkansas originally. We met close to 20 years ago, serendipitously via MSN Messenger. Shout out to Nudges, works very well. But it's an amazing time. She loves footy as well, so. And I'm a huge fan of the Arkansas Razorbacks because my brother-in-law loves them and Misery likes company.
There you
So,
go. There you go.
yeah. So, was
Yeah.
recently at the Liberty Bowl against Texas Tech. I didn't know that they threw tortillas in the air at kickoff. Very confusing when I got smacked in the face by a tortilla that got thrown in the air. That was
I didn't
weird.
I didn't know that either. Is that at the Liberty Bowl or is that something Texas Tech does?
That's something Texas Tech does. I
Okay.
that There's not a lot to do in Lubbock, and I can tell. So that's not much else to say, really. But no, look, the Crowject started. We started end of 2018. Uh, for me, it has been a huge labor of love.
Hmm.
And it's slowly gone into the merch that we've done as well with Go Crom, and also a book that we've done, The Fabric of Our Club. I'm going to give a huge shout out to Layden, one of my co-hosts. He does a phenomenal job where we've become a part of almost like the archiving and curating process for the club itself, been able to meet a bunch of other collectors too, where we've created this book that is essentially every single uniform that the Crows have worn since their inception in 91 until 2021
Yeah.
with our own photos. We created a top as well. I can tell you're a Geelong fan in the background. So we did this to piss off every single Port fan available. That is the Garnet Stakes Guernsey, crowject.bigcartel.com. So if you want to get one now, there's only a few left. But of course, celebrating that beautiful win in 2007, because nothing like upsetting your crosstown rival
Yeah.
by just simply pointing out their history.
Now,
Um,
I just noticed on the back of the jumper, the Adelaide Mail is the local newspaper, is it not?
No, 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 it's
Okay,
not. It's
I was
not.
gonna say I
No,
thought it was. I
no.
don't want to because I was gonna say if that's the case, I said they've certainly thrown their cards into one camp as opposed to the other one there.
So the local newspaper is the Adelaide Advertiser. I think the Adelaide Mail has the same sort of readership, as in practically non-existent. But Dan
Okay, okay.
Schmidt is one of the guys. I think he came up with the original concept of the Garden Stakes Guernsey back in 2020.
Hmm.
And that got onto Footy Classified with Eddie Maguire and Kane Corn sort of riffing about this top. And then I actually messaged them and said, hey, let's make a top together. And
Yeah.
we've raised about 7 grand so far for a local domestic violence shelter, Catherine House. And yeah, I
I'm gonna guess King Corns was not a big fan of it.
know. Oh,
Yeah.
if you do you want a Kane Corn story? A genuine, this
Shoot.
is like a,
I,
phew,
you know,
like,
I've grown to appreciate him over the years because he'll throw things out there which get people talking, which is exactly what he needs to be doing.
okay,
Yeah.
Craig,
Okay.
it's good for you to be over there because Kane Corns, no, Kane Corns, he's an agitator, but
Yeah,
he's also very easily agitated. Okay.
that's true too. Yes.
Now, so I can say 2018, my wife and I were building a house that we're in now, and I took a photo of myself and my wife standing on our slab. They just did the pour, like the
Hmm.
usual,
Right. Right.
millennial crap that you do. And unbeknownst to me, about 2 weeks beforehand, I had liked a comment on the Footy Classified Instagram post of someone basically calling out Kane Corns for the crap he was saying. It wasn't anything personal
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
being said to Kane,
Yeah.
nothing like that.
Just
I
his
liked the
opinion. You
post.
didn't this person was being contrary with Kane Corns' opinion, and you liked what that person said about not appreciating or not agreeing with Kane Corns.
That's right.
Okay.
And exactly like that. And unbeknownst to me, I went to bed that night, put up this post, and then the next morning, and this is my my own Instagram, he had gone through and had written on any photo that was a selfie of me, had just written the words Christ underneath it from his own account. Like this was like 20 odd comments back to post from like 2012. I was like, what's going on? Kane Corns has just like gone through my whole Instagram, has written. I've still got the comments on those posts.
Yeah.
Like, because I actually privated my thing, and I was just like, this is very petty. This is very
Hmm.
weird. Didn't think much else of it, but I was sort of like, okay, you're a very sort of trigger happy operator. And then in 2019, I think we on the Crowject on our Twitter had pretty much done the same thing, like something where
Yeah.
someone had called him out for it, and we'd written a comment afterwards. And then he wrote underneath, he's like, mate, I'll happily come on your pod anytime. You just let me know, full stop. And I was like, okay, send us a message. He then messages us, and I've got this all, I'll send it to you separately, Craig.
Yeah.
his mobile number. He sent it through. He's like, you just call me anytime, mate. And I'm like, you're in the media. You're an AFL Life member. Like, I'm just a nurse practitioner running a podcast that's just
Right,
started.
right.
Like, why are you getting so agitated over me? Like, I was purposely not trying to get out there for him. He's one of those ones that he tries to augment his opinion to inflame certain parts. I appreciate
Hmm.
what you've said about he says things and puts it out there, but when there's been things that have been said personally against Tex, Taylor Walker, and Taylor Walker's sort of bitten back and they used to be business partners, that sort of thing, you're sort of thinking this is sort of airing dirty personal laundry.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's very weird. It's weird from an Adelaide perspective, I think, because I see how he engages with me, who's like, I'm never gonna cross paths with him, most likely ever. I've like met him once in person, just in
Hmm.
passing, and he didn't know who I was, and obviously I knew who he was, but I didn't treat him any differently to
Now,
anyone else.
did you run across him after all the posts on Instagram?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
did you just kind of walk by and just go, Christ, and just keep
Oh,
moving?
I felt like it. I was just like, you remember this game? Like it's just one of those things. And look, we interviewed his old man Graham Corns, an amazing man, obviously the
Yeah.
inaugural coach for the Adelaide Crows, but a
Hmm.
very patient operator. This is another story because the night that we interviewed Graham Corns was the night that I don't know if you remember this. It was after the 2020 Crows Best and Fairest, where Brad Crouch and Tyson Stengel, one of your guys now, got busted in the back of a taxi with some Colombian jazz dust,
Yes.
AKA cocaine.
Yes.
Um, that was we interviewed him the night that that news got released,
Hmm.
and all I remember was sitting. This was at my old work with Layden and former host Damon too. Graham sitting there, and all I can see is his phone is lighting up because Kane keeps calling him and is just calling him constantly. And eventually he picks up and he's just like, mate, I can't talk. I'm doing an interview. And Kane's like yelling at him down the phone and is saying, why didn't you tell me about that?
About the
Why
interview?
didn't you tell? No, about the news because
Oh, okay.
apparently,
Oh, I see. Okay, I
yeah,
see.
yeah. So,
Okay.
and because we're sitting there with Graham, like trying to avoid talking about it because we're trying to talk about, his history and everything. And then
Yeah.
eventually it came up during the interview. And Graham's like, well, you know, sometimes you hear things, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then it's sort of, I would never talk to my dad like that.
Yeah.
Like, why did you tell me, like, this is disadvantage me? You know what I mean? Like, I felt it was a bit, I don't know, it added to my own
Well,
views
yeah,
on
yeah.
Kane.
Was he
So,
was he still affiliated with the club at that time?
Uh, well, Graham always technically is. I don't
Okay.
think he knew. I think he knew more about it because it got leaked to some parts of the media. Like
Okay.
he's with 5AA. I think it
Yeah.
was through that. I don't think it was like he had knowledge from the club in any way, shape, or
Yeah, and
form.
it
So
may not have been his position to, to put that information out there either.
yeah, God, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I found it a very like, oh, this is a spicy family fight. So oh, Graham, what are your thoughts on the club starting?
So
What can you say?
so
Hmm.
suffice to say, as we move on from Kane Corns,
Sorry.
he's
Yes.
probably not coming over to the house for Christmas dinner anytime soon.
Correct. He's
Okay.
banned from my slab. My
Okay.
slab,
Okay.
my rules. He
Now,
can fuck off.
as a nurse practitioner, have you told him that, when you get a splinter under the skin and it has begun to fester and that sort of thing, that you might want to just go ahead and, allow it to get some air, get it extracted, allow it to
Mm,
drain a little bit. I mean,
mm.
is that some advice you would give there for these things that seem to be festering with him?
Oh, I'd just refer him to someone else, mate. Like, I don't
I
have
mean,
time for
and
that.
I, yeah, and I,
It needs to
yeah.
be clinically correlated, would
Yes.
be my
And
opinion.
we're not going any further into the news that's been going in Australia related to that sort of thing here recently. So let's talk about the Crows from 2024 here. Okay, so it's been um you know you had a rough start and a rough end of the year, dropping five of the first six. You lost four out of the last five, six games below level, but you still had a percentage that was almost level. I mean, so there were
Mm,
some positive things. You had a ton of injuries. Um, what was the most disappointing thing about last year besides the spot on the ladder?
Oh, Craig, how long you got?
Well, I
Look,
do have a meeting I have to be at 9:30 my time, so I've got about an hour and 10 minutes before I have to leave.
all right, we're good. Okay, so look, legitimately, I think it started from, and I hate to bring it up, but that Sydney game in into 2023. Now, hear me out here. One, I'm not a fan of blaming umpires in any way, shape, or form. I
Hmm.
think there's been some death threats against
I
that umpire, Daniel. I can't remember his last name, but I actually feel very bad for him. And from when that happened
Yeah.
to now, I actually hope all the best for him. And any Crows person who sends him any hatred whatsoever should be deregistered from the club. That's my view.
Hmm.
Um, that game, though, what's forgotten from history is that if that goal, which was a goal, but if that went through and all that and was recorded, it would have been the biggest ever comeback from a third quarter deficit ever in our history.
Hmm.
That showed a lot of tenacity as a playing group. They were
Hmm.
primed. I think they were ready, and that popped that balloon something fierce. From a, you know, cognitive point of view, and a psychology point of view, how can you rebuild from that? Every time something could happen in the last 18 odd months, I
Hmm.
felt like our playing group, it was like a sense of being shell shocked. And 2021, 2022, and 2020 as well for the players that were still around for that point. I feel like it was almost like, oh my God, it's happening again.
Yeah.
Now, I think that was the part that sort of was the most disappointing for last year was I picked us to come fifth, fourth or
So,
fifth, I think.
so did I.
Yeah. And but at the same time, as the wheels started falling off, I was just like, why did I go with my heart instead of my head? In my
Yeah.
head, I thought that what happened at the end of 2023 was the equivalent of like being absolutely blown out in a grand final.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that affects your club for at least 2, 3 years. If you play close in the grand final, you can recover from that, and we see that a lot. But being completely blown out, like Port Adelaide in 2007 grand final. That can completely ruin a club. Yeah, see, there you go. Yeah, see, yeah, see, and okay, let's use the example there though. Geelong in the 2020 grand final got pipped,
Yeah.
by
With Richmond.
Richmond.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was a close game.
Hmm.
2021, I don't think you made finals in
I don't think we
21.
did. Yeah. I don't
No.
think we did.
However, COVID and all that other crap, like let's throw that out of the window. 2022, you came back. Yeah. Whereas for us, I think the wheels fell off. I felt like the signs were all there for what made last year so disappointing. But I also think there was a degree of things weren't harmonious off the field, and that
Hmm.
really proliferated with the after the home show, no, the showdown at the end of the year with Rochelle pointing at the teeth after he kicked that goal and his
Yeah.
comments beforehand saying, "Oh, Port fans have no teeth." I mean, he's probably the first Italian draftee that I've known to tell the truth. And as an Italian man myself, I can say that it's just a plain old truth that
Yeah.
Port fans don't have teeth. And he then gets dropped. And then Rory Laird, one of our senior players, comes out and says, "Oh, we didn't like that." And you could just see it was a schmozzle,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
off field. And that's leading into the off season. Like, how that can happen, I don't know. However, leading to this year, and I don't know if this is one of your next questions or not, Craig, but leading to this year, we've got Murray Davis, who's come on board from Brisbane. We've building our new headquarters now. We finalised our board positions, and we've got Neil
And
Balm
you
that's
build on.
come
Yeah.
on
I was going to
board.
ask about him. Yeah.
And, I've got my own thoughts in regards to Neil Balm. I think there were a couple of other candidates that would have been an equal fit.
Hmm.
But I think this is it for Nix, obviously, but I don't think there's any more excuses. I also do think that he was in a position of he was doing too much and
Hmm.
didn't have enough supports, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, that was something I was going to get to, but I figure we'll address it now. But And I want to come back to Josh Rochelle as well. Um, do you think that Matty Nix's seat is rather warm? Does he have to get this club into finals this year to be coaching the team in 2026?
Yes, absolutely. Like it's a you can't question it any further. He's now loaded, if anything, overloaded.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think of who's my best 22 leading to round one, and there's so many that you can pick from. Like we've had a really good off season.
Yeah.
Some of our draftees that have come through and that are blooming
Mm-hmm.
essentially are amazing. I'm not used to this. This is
Yeah.
odd optimism. I don't know how to handle it. Although I had the
Yeah.
same feeling started last year and all went to shit. So
Yeah. Well,
who
I
knows?
I uh, I don't I don't know if you're familiar with Kim Harrison. He goes by the moniker Mick Aussie. He lives in Canada.
Oh
But
yeah, yep,
Mick
yep.
is very much involved with doing things with the NFL, the CFL, with footy. I have Mick on almost every week. We kind of do our preview episode together. Mick is a die-hard Crows supporter. Now he picked them to finish ninth last year. He didn't think they were going to play finals, and I think if I remember correctly, he was concerned about the lingering effects of the Sydney game, if I'm not mistaken. In terms of
Mm.
what is that going to have on the club's psyche. But he was he was asking about, and because I reached out to him yesterday. I said, "You got anything you want me to ask about on this one?" And he's not a huge Rochelle fan. He thinks that he's one of the more overrated players in the AFL, having been dropped and that sort of thing. Does Rochelle fit into that category? And do you think that he's going to be able to come back and redeem himself and get his, as I've started saying it here, that he's going to start having his name on the magnet in ink rather than in pencil?
Josh Rochelle is a beautiful, stunning specimen. Okay. He can slot him from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He's a simple operator. Okay. Now, I'm going to give a shout out to a friend of the pod and comedian. He's been on Kill Tony as well, James McCann as well. He's living in Austin at the moment.
Okay.
Uh, but he's developed the term the bullwog. Okay. The bullwog is basically a player, it's an Italian player that you need. Every premiership team has a bullwog. Okay. It's just an angry Italian guy. Doesn't have to be too smart, but he just
Yeah.
fucking gets it done. Mark Rasciuto, bullwog. That's what he is. He's a bull and he's a wog. He's an angry man. That's what Rochelle is. And you know what? We need to respect it. He's a finesse player. He's the typical, I'd almost say uh, just the new age player where things need to be going right. He is okay. We did an interview with Max Michaelini.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think Max Michaelini is a future captain for our club. He is one of the most brilliant players ever. He's going to get more midfield time this year. So, Mick, if you're listening, that's going to happen. Uh, Max was doing an interview with us, and then Josh Rochelle came in. And one of our questions that we have on the Crowject is, which player would you have alongside you in a zombie apocalypse? And
Uh-huh.
Josh Rochelle's response immediately was, I haven't seen that movie. And Max had to explain to him, no, no, a zombie apocalypse is not a movie. And then Josh was like, nah, nah, it is a movie. I haven't seen it. Sort of showed a little bit of his psyche that I was just like, okay.
So he's kind of it seems like he's very footy focused.
Yeah, he's just footy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's literally like if you were to have if every player was a horse,
Uh-huh.
okay, he would be perfect in the stables. He would get out of the gates and everything else like that. But
Mm-hmm.
as soon as, you put the card on him, he'd fuck up. You know why? That's not what he does. He's
Yeah.
a thoroughbred. He's
Yeah.
a bullwog, and that's what he's there for. I would put him in the team every single game. I want him to be a firebrand. I want him to be our X factor. I actually really, really like him. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying that from a personal bias point of view. I just think he's almost a little bit like Fogarty, where he benefits so much from AFL time. He's a poster boy for shithousery, and that's what I want. I've been sick to death of our club not having enough of like no one has tattoos, all right? No one's angry. Josh Rochelle, he's gonna fucking punch on. You know why? Because he's a bullwog. That's what he does, and I
Yeah.
love it. Okay.
So
Now, Mick, I sort of agree. I get what he's saying.
yeah.
However, I want the bullwog. That's what he is.
Yeah. So um is that going to be the next logo on your next piece of wardrobe that you're going to be donating the proceeds to charity? I mean, you go back to Ted Lasso, be a goldfish, be a bullwug. I mean
Be a
to me
bulldog.
that
There you
seems like
go.
a natural, you know.
Be bulldog. I'm going to put the trademark on that.
And
If anyone's listening,
by the way,
don't
I would
steal
like
it.
to have one sent to me, okay? Because I
Oh, hell yeah.
play, yeah. So and but yeah, that's of course then you're gonna have Apple after you because you use the words be in front of it. You're gonna
Oh, shit.
or maybe
Whatever.
or try being a or something along those lines. Then maybe that'll
Oh, dude.
you can
Yeah,
massage it.
yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Fuck it. I'll just do it.
Yes. So it's you mentioned kind of you kind of mentioned it there that you had a lot of players who missed a significant amount of time who you were counting on last year. Who's the most important one that's coming back this year that missed that you were hoping was going to get 20 plus games with the side? Who's the one that you think is the most important to come back in and get a full season in?
Well, I really think Riley Tilthorpe is the one there.
Hmm.
He had a meniscal tear in a
Yeah.
preseason game against West Coast started last year. And when that happened, it just looked like one of those things when he landed. I was just like, that's an odd response he's had.
Yeah.
And as soon as they said he's had a meniscal tear, I was like, oh shit. Because, you got 6 weeks of immobilization. You're
Right.
gonna, decompensate your muscle mass. So I was just like, he's written off for the year. And I was really, 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 really looking forward to him. Fantastic guy, absolutely just an absolute bull out of the gate, that sort of thing. Not Italian, so I can't call him a bulldog. But at the same time, a fantastic player inside and out. The fact that he's able to dominate, from a forward line point of view, it's really going to complement things. And I think probably be the transition piece to have, a ruck forward as
Hmm.
well. Taylor Walker's still going around. I don't know how he's fucking doing it, but
Yeah.
I've been able to correlate last year. Every time that man would mow his lawn and put it on Instagram, his back would be done the next week. So it's like guaranteed. It's just like, mate, just pay someone to do it, okay? You're getting on in age.
Yeah.
So with Taylor Walker, I think there was a transition plan for Filthy to sort of take over that position. Wasn't able to happen last year, definitely will this year. The other one, probably Sam Pedler too, and Sam Berry. Um, a little bit of a run of bad luck, but seriously, really looking forward to them smashing out of the gate, really.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the list, the profile list. I mean, you've only got three players right now that are over 30. Matt Crouch will be 30 before
Mm.
as the season begins, and you'll only have one other that's going to be Riley O'Brien will be 30 during the
Yep,
season. But it's still you don't go very far down the list, and you've got a lot of players who are still under the age of 24.
yeah,
It's a relatively young side in the great grand scheme of things. So it's yeah,
yeah,
you've got a lot of big names, that are 200 plus game players that you're hoping to get one more great season out of, at least one more. But
yep.
you do have if everybody stays healthy, you've got some youngsters that are going to come in there, and um what are your thoughts on like the leadership with the club? I mean, because if I'm not mistaken, they named like a number of like co-captains and vice captains and captains like on odd numbered days that end
Oh,
in
dude.
double Y's or whatever the case may be. And
Yeah, it's one of those things that let me just confirm those leaders. I don't think they've done it for this year yet, but last year it felt like it was like by committee. Um, and look, Jordan Dawson, the sort of guy that you could see being in a synthesizer band, really rocking a Moog,
yeah.
organ. He's very, very chiseled sort of operator. Um, but look, we've got Alex Neil-Bullen who's coming to the side from Melbourne too. I
Hmm.
think he's going to be part of our leadership group. And I'm not a fan of the whole, leadership by committee thing. I
Yeah.
know Sydney one year they had like 6 or 7 vice captains. Like, fuck off. Like, who are you going to listen to? It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But I think of there's the much maligned Lachlan Murphy as well. I think he gives 100%, but a lot of people just don't like him because he's too short. I think that's really the big thing. And, like legitimately, you look at some of the abuse that comes online. You're just like, can everyone calm down? It's like magnified just because he's too short. But I'll tell you what, tackles inside 50. That man, he lays the pressure,
Yeah.
which is needed. Um, Look, I think from a leadership point of view, I'd I more look off field.
Hmm.
When it comes to my personal analysis of things, I'm always looking off field for what's happening. Um, I know we had a lot of issues with, and I called for an internal or external review of what's happening in our footy department at the club because we had a head of football, a head of football management, like too many heads. Like, there's
Yeah.
too much going on. Like, let's just simplify. And they sort of have done that with Murray Davis coming in, that sort of thing. And to be honest, I'm pleased, but I want to see results from it because off field does affect on field. And I think now that they're sorting their shit out off field, and I think Tim Silvers, he's really taken a leaf out of the whole Hawthorn book where he's sort of sat back. I personally, I think, sat back for a little bit to see how things operate for a couple of years. And now he's saying, this is bullshit. Let's do
Hmm.
this. And I'm personally very happy with how he's doing it. So I know that doesn't really answer the question of the on-field side of
No,
things, but
that's
I think off-field does affect on-field
yeah. Well, I
massively.
mean, it could be either either side on that one there. So looking at 2025, you start
Mm,
out, you got four out of your first six games at home, which I think is a good way to start the year. And you got some interesting games. You got some games that could vary. I think that you're going to be favored in a lot of them, which is not always necessarily a good thing.
mm.
Um, Theoretically, I think you could be favored, in possibly all five of them because one of the arguably the strongest side you're playing in the first five rounds, you're playing at your place. So
Correct.
yeah, so I
Correct.
mean
And
you got the opportunity to jump off to a good start this year. So what are the things you're going to be looking for that are going to tell you, okay, things are going in the right direction, everybody's rowing in the right direction, and then contrarily, what are the things you're going to be hoping to not see where you're going to go, oh shit, this is not what we were looking for.
as weird as this sounds, I'm definitely a oh shit sort of person. Anyone that knows me,
Yeah.
I'm always looking for where we're going to fuck up. And I think even last year, there was definitely a lack of, personally, I found on-field communication. There was a flatness. There was a real just dearth in the way we played that opening home game where we played against Geelong. I sat in that in the outer and I was just thinking to myself, what do we do? We look flat-footed, genuinely flat-footed. And then we had a streaker on the field and that was weird. But look, I think the
Did
other
did they
thing
have
too.
did you notice if they had flat feet?
Oh, the streaker was
Yeah.
putting in more effort in the midfield than any of our midfielders, that's for sure. Like he actually, like I think it was Ben Keys or Matt Crouch in the end who ended up tackling. But like, oh, I don't know. Look, I'm looking at that opening game against St Kilda, and all I'm thinking to myself is, we're playing against a Ross Lyon team,
Hmm.
and he knows how to shut things down and
Yeah.
play like
Boring football.
yeah, boring football. I want, and this is something we're doing on the Crowject because obviously it's 10 years since Phil Walsh passed away. And I'm wanting to get back to that Formula One footy that Phil
Right,
Walsh
right.
did talk about out of full respect for him. I remember that year when we played North Melbourne at opening round. I've never seen a team as electric as we played, but also when it came to, as weird as this sounds, the way we're communicating with each other around stoppages,
Yeah.
in between goals, there was a real electricity around it, just seeing the way the players engage. I want to see what's happening off the ball
Yeah.
because I think that's going to be key here.
Yeah.
I'm scared that what happened with Rochelle at the end of last year has somehow impacted the way he engages with other players. I really hope it doesn't,
Hmm.
but fucking hell, if it does, then that's gonna really like rot the rest of the team. And I
Yeah.
don't think it's Rochelle's fault. Dude only pointed out some teeth. And the rest and
Right.
some old players are like pointing things out to him. That's what I'm scared of. If we
Yeah.
come out and we're not attacking, and I don't want to um uh I don't want to play our card too quickly. But something I've just thought of just then too, we need to factor in the Darren Burgess effect. Okay. I
Hmm.
would not be surprised if going into round six, right? So the first five games, I want to be surprised if we're 2-3. You know why? Because the Darren Burgess effect is you absolutely smash the shit out of them in preseason.
Hmm.
Absolute, but build up that core, build up that engine, that sort of thing, so that by the time that finals roll around,
Hmm.
you're pairing. That's what I want. So I would like, would I want to go 5-0? You know, the short term, yes, but
Yeah,
I've got to play the long game here, you know, and I don't want us to spend all of our tickets too early in the season.
that's
And
fair.
that's personally how I feel. I
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too surprised if, we can't run out a game early in the season. No alarm bells from that, honestly, because I look back at all the Darren Burgess teams. That's exactly what happens. So,
Now, I want to go back to the comment the comment you made. You were talking about the streaker during the game, not necessarily because of the streaker, but I did want to ask in terms of like getting a ruling on this.
hmm.
Does the league waive tackling above the shoulder or below the knees when it comes to a streaker? Because I don't think you're necessarily wanting to tackle one around the waist necessarily. So they're not going to award a free kick to the other team if you go ahead and tackle the guy below the knees, are you?
Of a streaker,
You have a streaker, yeah, yeah,
I, I, I think they look, Craig. I was at that game and seeing the um, very interesting response from the
uh-huh.
security guards on the
Yeah,
ground was the only way that someone was going to catch it, at least a state league player to be
yeah.
able to caught this guy. But the security guards were not well conditioned. That's all I'll say. So look, I swear there was an umpire that was about to step in and tackle this guy. That's
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
like everyone was looking around like, the fuck do we do? I know in the NFL there was a streaker once that got tackled, but I think it was a Pittsburgh player that tackled
Oh,
him. I can't remember
there
the
have been a few
game.
of them over the years. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
look, I think if it should be if you run on the ground, there should be a price for what part of the body you hit. Okay,
Uh-huh.
I think if you're a cricket fan, Craig, if you look up Andrew Simons tackling a streaker in 2008
Okay.
against India, the streaker was naked. And Andrew Simons just stands there and just fucking bang, and this dude goes flying on the ground. You can see his jets crackers and everything. It's fantastic. So, um, I think that if you do I reckon head high tackle, you get
Hmm.
5 grand. Like you get as a player, you get $5,000 from the AFL
Okay.
because they're just like,
And this doesn't impact the soft cap then, right?
no, God, no, no, no. This is
Yeah.
cash in a
Yeah.
bag
That's
in
gonna
your
say.
locker.
Yeah, because
Okay.
we certainly don't want it to be the hard cap.
No, no, no. Or
I'll be
maybe
here
we
all night,
can.
folks.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We don't want to get hit on the hard cap at all. But look, or maybe they get employed by Cotton On or something else like that for some off-field
Hey,
shenanigans like they
hey,
do down at
with
Geelong.
all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
players that Catch is supposed to be bringing in next year, they're going to need to sell some more shirts.
Bro, I can't shop at Cotton On anymore because of you fuckers. Like honestly, I don't want to support you. Oh man, it's crazy.
I see
Yeah.
the list of who supposedly is going to be, you know, they're te trying to tempt to come down there. Yeah, I mean, are you allowed to have that many, redheaded players on the list at one time if they're, looking at Clayton Oliver and they're looking at Matty Rowell and it's like, yeah, yeah. Well, we're not here to talk about the Cats though, okay? But
It is a
um,
ginger factory down there. Like, what's going
is
on?
it
They closed the
okay?
Ford factory and they're just like, we need more gingers. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So, you said you were having a tough time picking, who you would put in the best 22.
mm,
So who are the handful of players that you are thinking right now that are going to kind of be coin flips? And
ooh.
which side should the coin be landing for those couple of players?
I hate to say it, it's so I can't realistically answer that, and I'm not trying to shirk it, but we only had our trial match that happened last night.
Uh-huh.
I missed the game because it was
Yeah.
out at Port Pirie, and I can't find a bloody replay of it. Now, Layden, who runs the Jeff Albertson channel as well, he's put up a replay of it, but even the quality of that ain't great. So it's
Yeah.
hard to tell who's going to be making the cut, that sort of thing. Look, all I can say is, and I'm just going to say this just to appease everyone online, I think Lockie Murphy is a coin flip because every fucking time that man gets selected or dropped or breathes or,
Yeah.
parks his car probably, for 16 minutes in a 15-minute car park, the man can do nothing right. Like, it's just universally hated.
But he
And I
but
feel
he
bad.
actually he actually does things right, but the people who are maybe more critical of him are the ones that are more vocal.
That's it. That's
Okay.
right.
Okay. So I mean it's
You're not
it's
going
it's you need that little spark plug player that can go in there and get in there and do the the Bulldogs, had Caleb Daniel doing that for quite some time, and now he's moved
Ah,
on to
yes,
North
old
Melbourne. I
helmet
mean,
head. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean it's that's a skill set that you would think that supporters of the club would relish, that they would embrace.
No, we like to hate on people at the Crows. We hardly make any noise at our home games because
Hmm.
everyone's too old. So it's a thing. Mate, seriously, okay, hear me out here. Here's a little rant I've got. The Crows were set up in 1991,
Hmm.
right? Around the time of a recession that was happening in Australia. So a lot of the fans that were around during that time that were able to afford to become members
Hmm.
were of a certain age bracket, 30 to 40 years old, probably securing their job. Fast forward 30 years, they're all 70 to 80 years old. They don't make any fucking noise. You go to a Crows game here, it is packed to the brim, but no one's making any noise.
Yeah.
You know why? Because everyone's had too much prune juice or something else like that. Like
Well,
it's
those are
just,
different kinds of sounds, though.
yes, that yeah, they are clapping in a different way. That's for sure. But look, I've gone to some Port home games, right?
Hmm.
And I've gone to an away showdown as well. Not as full, right? They don't have as many members. Okay, so let's be fair. But some people can't be bothered turning up, and their fans make more noise. Their home game experience is better,
Hmm.
and it's something that pisses me off.
I
And
was gonna
it's
say that had to
something
be
that
that had to be hard for you to say.
No, it is, but it's, objectively, it is
Yeah.
a better
Yeah.
experience. And the part that just annoys me to no end is having to cater to this as an audience. Like one day I'm going to be too old and I want to be going to the games, but don't just go to a game and just sit there and make no noise or complain about others. This is another sidebar thing, mate. But in 2018, the Crows home showdown that
Hmm.
basically Port had to win to make finals, and Crows ended up winning by I think 1 point. I was very, very drunk, and
Okay.
I was getting over a cold. This was pre-COVID, so I had a little bit of pseudoephedrine on board too. Not a good mix. Was there with my cousin too, my beautiful wife. And I can't remember who kicked the goal. Oh, it was Josh Jenkins who had that. It was a goal. Okay. I think it was a point. But
So
anyway,
you're saying that plus the one with Sydney a couple years ago have balanced out now.
it was the same fucking goalpost. So, you got to wonder. If you look at it, it's the same fucking goalpost.
I
Any,
before you go on, why can't they have all these cameras and stuff? Why can they not attach a laser light at the top of the goalpost to just project into the sky higher than the post to allow it to prevent that sort of thing from happening? That would not be. They've got the technology to do that kind of stuff. Why don't they do it? I mean, Dane Rampy can't climb up and hump every damn post and knock them off. Okay, I mean it's they can actually attach them a couple of bolts. It'll stay right in place.
Craig, I don't think you understand how much our broadcasters in the AFL don't want to spend money on technology. It's fucking
Well, I know they
annoying.
certainly don't want to attract viewers over here. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
oh God, I can speak to that point to no end. Like ESPN Arkansas people that I've been on with, the Ruskin and Zach guys, and all that, been on their show multiple times.
yeah,
And the one thing that they've said is, "How the hell can I watch a game?" The AFL have no experience, have no interest whatsoever in being able, in wanting to or facilitating international and hell, even some interstate viewers here. It is fucking annoying. Something I get really mad about that if I was the AFL, I would make our broadcast rights as cheap as possible
yeah.
internationally.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it. Like you've got a saturated market in Australia with 27, 28 million people. What are we achieving here? The
Yeah.
NFL are creeping into Australia. They're
Yeah.
going to play a game here,
Right.
and it's
Right.
like and it's open slather. Yet the AFL and the NRL constantly fighting each other for who? You're only losing people. I don't think the AFL understands that technically they're a dying swan in the grand scheme of things. Like they just does that make sense? Like
No,
they're
it
not.
unfortunately it does. And as
Yeah,
I've argued, and I had the math wrong. I think in one of my more recent episodes that I put out, I said, if you could get 1% of the U.S. interested in the game, that's 10% of Australia's population.
exactly,
You get
exactly.
1% of us involved, interested in it, because we get the games on FS1, FS2 here, but they don't market it at all.
Hmm.
There's nothing that says the games are on. Why, I don't know if you're familiar with, like little Roku devices you can plug into
Yep,
your
yep,
television.
yep,
You know,
yep.
why is, many of us have the Watch AFL app.
Hmm.
Why doesn't Watch AFL invest in having the Watch AFL app on the Roku devices, on the Amazon Fire Sticks, on the Apple TV boxes, that sort of thing, to allow people to actually watch the games that are paying for the memberships, for this much more readily. I mean, I have a subscription to Willow TV where I watch cricket from all over the planet.
Yep, yeah.
It's just it's
Craig,
I
this is the part that I get really mad about because I want my family members to be able to watch it in the US.
Yeah,
I want to be
yeah,
able to grow the game. I'm thinking of the Austin Crows guys that I've talked to before, and
yeah,
they've said that yeah, the USAFL happens and everything else like that, but
hmm,
you don't get a lot of support from home, and that's shit. Like
yeah,
I want this game to grow. It is a beautiful game to watch, but I think the problem is one, yeah, it's on an oval. That doesn't really help to market it internationally.
right, right,
Uh, Um, but there are some advantages. One, players are fucking hot, right? I'm as straight as a straight edge, but I'll tell you what, there's some players I'd happily turn for. I don't care. But
we're
two,
not going to ask you to create a list right now, don't worry.
I can if you want. But I'll wake my wife up and I'll get her to tell some too.
Yeah,
But look, the other thing too, it's a flowing game. It's a
yeah,
nice
yeah,
game to watch. It's aesthetic. It is good. But
yep,
when you talk about, even cameras on the goalpost, that sort of thing. Seven, the local broadcaster that for some reason have bid on the rights again and got them,
hmm,
like, holy shit, they can't even broadcast some of the games in high def. It's 2025. Like, I'm
yeah,
sorry. If I can watch fucking Bentonville High School in Arkansas and they're broadcasting in 4K,
yeah.
like, yeah, I know there's Walmart money there, but whatever. If they can do it, how come an actual professional league that gets government funding can't do it? Bullshit. Ugh. Anyway.
Well,
Um,
that's because they're working to keep Gold Coast afloat. But
ugh. Yeah, yeah, okay. Back to the story. Back to the story.
there
Okay.
you go.
So, drunk on pseudoephedrine with my cousin, with my wife.
Yeah,
Josh Jenkins kicks a goal, right? I get up and I'm fucking, holy shit. I'm going, me and my cousin, we're going off. Man, my wife's going off too.
yeah,
These two old farts that sit in front of us the whole season, she turns around, she has the audacity to say, stop making so much noise. We can't enjoy the game. And I don't remember what I said, but my cousin Simon and my wife said I gave an all-time spray to these two old biddies that were sitting
yeah,
there. And we're
yeah.
saying, you two fuckers have just been sitting here the whole season. You don't make noise. You don't do nothing. These were the two people I've talked about on the pod. They brought to the game once a thermos of tea with two china cups,
Oh my
fine
God.
china, two fucking fine china, right? To a game. Just
Did they
sitting
bring
there,
did they bring saucers?
No, no sauces.
Okay.
Probably that could be a
Slobs.
projector. Yeah,
Slobs.
exactly. Uncouth swine. How dare they? But you know, I gave a spray, and they left. They left, and Rana said that the spray that I gave was like all like just an absolute just avalanche of hatred towards like
Yeah.
fans that just don't make any noise, and I don't remember a thing of it. So I did not drive.
Yeah.
So
Good, good, good.
look, it was just it was just one of those things. I was just so fed up, and something I hate at games because I see I've gone to other games like I said, poor home games, but even I've been to GMHBA once.
Hmm.
And the feel there is fantastic. You know why? Because it's engaging, it's good,
Yeah.
entertainment, that sort of thing. But also, it's not a group that doesn't need to be gentrified. You guys have been around for many years, so
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not calling for, a Chairman Mao great leap forward sort of
oh
thing
God, I
of our
just
of,
yeah.
but maybe we can consider that. But
Well, yeah, and that brings up actually a really good point because that's one of the things that here in the U.S. with baseball is that
mm,
people are they've tinkered with the rules to try to speed the game up and that sort of thing, which I okay, fine. Yeah, and
yeah,
I think you get
they got a clock for the
the pitch clock
pitches.
now, which
Yeah, yeah.
I'm okay with that. I think that that they they've changed the rules in terms of how teams are allowed to defense the other teams, which I think is a joke. But
Mm,
soccer has made such an encroachment here. Like the leagues coming in out of Europe and that sort of thing are such. I mean, there are soccer games on all the time here, and it's really
mm,
started to impact Major League Baseball to where I wonder
mhm.
in a generation when I'm in my 80s, what's baseball going to be like here? Because more and more kids are playing soccer as opposed to even gridiron football now. I keep hearing that from people that more and more kids are involved with basketball than with
Mm.
footy in Australia. As you mentioned, like the
Yep.
dying swan thing there. That I mean, it's how do you rekindle that? How do you rekindle the interest in the game with young people? And I guess the other thing is when you got your seats for the next season, did you end up sitting behind those people again, or did you find different seats around the
No, we
stadium?
stayed in the seats and they fucked off somewhere else. I
Okay,
don't care.
okay.
But okay,
Well,
one
I
thing
mean,
I will.
let's okay. I should say full disclosure. I do hope that they are still coming to the games with their tea and their fine china and that sort of thing. I don't hope anything bad has happened to them, but hopefully they've become a little bit more vocal. Just tell them to even clang their cups
That's your
together.
opinion, Craig, but
No, I know.
I hope
I
they fucked off. Um,
Wow.
I hope they're still alive, but I
Yeah,
hope they're
yeah,
just not going to
yeah.
games. Get a Foxtel subscription,
There
get
you
an
go.
80-inch TV, and just sit on the couch and shut up because that's all you did at the games anyway. But when it comes to the growth of AFL, I think the big thing has been facilitating the AFL women's. Okay,
Uh-huh.
now hand on heart, I'm probably equal, if not more, a fan of AFL women's than I am AFL, right?
Okay.
And the reason for that is I love the fact that my club embraced it completely,
Hmm.
invested heavily into it to
Right, right.
begin with. Won the first premiership, second premiership, third premiership,
Yeah.
and we've been at a level where we have treated our players and our off-field staff with a level of respect that's deserved.
Hmm.
The AFL has not done that. Okay, I could go AFL women's how they fucked it and keep fucking it because they're trying to. I think the AFL is making it more of a tokenistic thing, whereas the individual clubs are actually trying really hard. North Melbourne, Brisbane, uh, and some other clubs as well that are really, investing heavily into the AFL women's side.
Right, right.
If you that instantly overnight expanded it to an extra 50% of the population, yeah. My daughter, she's 5. She only loves the AFL women's team. Full stop. She wants to play footy. But if the AFL is not going to nurture that,
Yeah.
is there going to be a league there? Now, you mentioned as well, I think it's a lot to do. I think it just comes purely down to access of what's available. It
Hmm.
is easier to, if you want your kid to play basketball, a pair of sneakers, shorts, top,
True.
and
True.
go, right? Versus AFL. They need the boots, socks, pay rego fees. It's on a field, it's cold, versus basketball most of the time indoors. There's the little things about,
Yeah.
as a parent, what's easier to do. Yeah.
Right, right.
Um, and I think because you're in a higher area from
Hmm.
memory, Craig, is that
Yes.
right? Compare what's happened to college and high school sports there compared to what I've seen around my wife's area. Football's still fucking number one, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But even there's players there that, may have been a wide receiver in football, but they're like, I can probably make more money in the basketball. NIL has changed that too
Yeah. Yeah.
in college. So it's a wicked problem, you know what I mean? There's multiple solutions for it, but
Yep. Yep.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's just how to keep them engaged. I don't know.
So, um, what is looking at the season as a whole for the club, and I
Mm.
appreciate. First of all, I do want to go back and I do want to appreciate the fact that you could have very easily gone the direction of why you enjoy watching men's footy that you did not bring to why you're watching women's footy, because you basically you said you had a list of
Mm.
players that you didn't offer to make that list. I appreciate that
Thank
that
you.
you would think that that would actually bring in supporters as well. But
Mm.
when they see, when first of all, what is your bold prediction for the club this year? What is the flag that you want to plant that you're going to say this is going to happen? That even your most diehard friends who are Crow supporters are going to look at you and go, really?
I think that the Crows will have the. I'm going to make two predictions.
Okay.
The Crows are going to have the number one offense in the AFL. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, it's not hard to say, oh, yeah, that's going to happen purely based off, and you said at the start of this pod about our percentage last year, which was great, but,
Yeah.
plenty of close losses. Um, Two, I think, I think we're going to be top four, full stop,
Okay. Okay.
right? I think that if we don't make top four,
Mm-hmm.
right, even if we come fifth or sixth and we say win one final and then like lose out, I think Nick's is gone, right?
Okay.
Uh, if we make top four, and if I, I'm not going to plant my flag on the next part that I'm going to say, but if we
Okay.
make top four, I think that we'll play in a grand final.
Wow.
Yeah, thunderclaps. Yeah, I can hear
Okay.
them
So
right now. But
so who are they playing against if that happens?
oh, definitely not Porks. Fuck them. They're gonna drop off something fierce. That's gonna be great. Oh, they came out and
They
said the
they they
Tinkies
are
last year, and
they
I'm
are
so
one that
mad.
I have two clubs from the eight last year that I think are going to drop out of the eight, and I think they're one of them.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm. Who's the other one?
I think Sydney.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. You've seen the history of, big losses,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. And look, Dean Cox, he's a sort of guy, a really angry Serbian coach for like, Zagreb or something like some like just some soccer team. He looks like that, but he's
He
just
looks
Aussie
scary. He
as.
does.
He
Yeah,
looks very scary,
yeah.
intimidating. But yeah, I agree. Sydney, I think Port are going to completely drop off. I think Hinkley has lost his magic completely. Not that he had any to begin with, but it's just, yeah, they're going to shit the bed. Who are we going to play in a grand final? Um, Brisbane is one of those teams that they won last year,
Hmm.
but there's a part of me, like even that, I hate to bring up the prelim, full
So it's
respect,
okay. It's okay.
but I
Yeah,
sort of think to myself, how the fuck do they keep winning?
yeah,
Does that make sense? Like their style is weird. I can't describe it, but every single time I'd watch them, like fucking, I can't believe Eric Hipwood has a premiership. Like just one of the dopiest players I've ever seen in my life. Just one of those like Neanderthal-like, just
yeah.
big body, small head, just found out how to make fire. Kick ball. Yeah, I don't know. Like
See ball,
I'm an
kickball.
ass.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Seaball kickball. I'm an asshole, by the way, Craig. And shout out to everyone. Listen to the Crowject if you want to listen to more of this crap. But look, I think the thing for me, I've thought about it a lot, and I've always thought, is Collingwood due for a bounce back? You don't think so?
I don't think they're going to. I think they're going. Because they were not in the eight last year. That's
Oh,
another one
okay.
I don't think is going to get there. I think that their age is catching up with them this year.
Yeah, I've thought that too, but I don't. There's a part of me that's just like, it's unpredictable. I think that's the part that I'm like, I don't know. The other one that I've thought of a lot and I've been pondering probably over the last couple of weeks is Hawthorn.
Yeah.
Their style of play last year, I loved that. That okay, if you want an example of where I'm just like, oh my God, the wheels have fallen off, that game where we played them and they piled on like 14 goals in a row, holy shit. They looked absolutely amazing. I do think they're going to make a deep run. Wouldn't surprise me if the Crows lose in a heartbreaking finals loss against Hawthorn again.
Yeah.
So we're used to that. So
Yeah, I
I,
have I
I
have I have a I have a one that I've mentioned that people have thought that I was even the person that was the supporter of that club when I
mm,
had them on, I was more bullish on their club this year. I said I had the team that I thought was going to be this year's 2025's Hawthorn was North Melbourne.
mm,
I
yep,
just I think that they're I think that Nick Larkey getting some help up front
yes,
is gonna help him bringing Caleb Daniel in there. Even though Luke Parker is not the Luke Parker of 5 or 6 years ago, is still going to be
something,
a decent role
yeah.
model for those midfielders and help to maybe get them engaged and in knocking some other players' ass over apple cart. But I yeah, so it's and then doing the whole tier thing about it again, but which I don't think he'll do as a member of North Melbourne. I don't think that'll
Oh
happen, but
shit.
yeah, but
That's
um,
great.
so and again, I'm probably completely wrong about that. I've not finalized my ladder predictions yet, but that's one it just keeps telling me you got to think about putting them there because I mean last year, I mean I think I had Adelaide fifth. I had
Mm.
St. Kilda fourth last year on my ladder prediction, and that
Oh fuck.
yeah, I mean it went yeah, and it went extraordinarily well last year for me. But you know what what's the and I've been asking this to everybody. What is the headline in the paper at the end of the season? Whenever the Crows season ends,
Oh.
what's the headline in the paper the next day going to say about the 2025 season for the club?
It heartbreak. Like honestly, look, okay. I'm fortified in my head that we are gonna have something just just another shitty way for us to fuck it up somehow.
Uh-huh.
You know, like one thing I do after the games is what's called the walk and talk, where I just stand next to the Malcolm Blight statue at Adelaide Oval,
Yeah.
and it's just vox pops, right? That 2023 Sydney game, no one actually knew that it wasn't a goal, like it was a goal that wasn't. And
Right.
but the news started filtering out, and as I was interviewing people, it became more and more apparent to the point where a Crows sitting board member, Graham Goodings, actually came on to discuss things with us while there were
Mm-hmm.
inebriated people talking with us. I'm expecting, hopefully not that, where there's something, some crazy conspiracy theories that's make this happen, but I'm expecting some sort of heartbreaking finals loss. So it'll be heartbreak on the front of the Adelaide Advertiser and not the Adelaide Mail as well, which is the same readership. So, but yeah, it's a thing. I'm just expecting something cataclysmically shitty to happen, but hopefully in finals.
But you
But
know what?
fucking hell,
If you lose a prelim, let's just say if you lose a prelim, you've
I'm
got
fine with that.
if I'm doing the math right, you've got 14 other clubs that would happily trade positions with you.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I would rather lose a prelim in a heartbreak of like last second fuck up,
Yeah.
like Josh Shelley, punches someone in the dick or something else like that. Like I'm
Or
cool
you
with
get
that.
a
I'm cool with that as long as it's
you
in a
get
prelim, not in round two.
the
Yeah,
opponent gets a free kick for tackling tackling a streaker around the waist
yeah,
instead of
exactly.
below the knees. Yeah.
Yeah, horse collar tackle. So like for some reason we've got NFL rules. There's flags going everywhere. We're just like, what the
Yeah,
fuck is going on here?
yeah, that's okay. So before, before we wrap up,
Mm.
got any you want to try to tackle some Crows trivia here before we get out of here?
Ooh. As in, you want me to throw some trivia at you?
No, I'm going to throw some at you.
Okay.
I'm going
Hit
to
me,
throw some. I'm
hit
going to
me,
throw some at
hit me,
you.
Craig.
Oh, trust me, I would not get a single one of them right. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So these three players last year led the club with 24 plus disposals per game.
Ooh, okay. One would be Max Michaelini.
Well, I guess I should say they played at least like 15 games. I don't think McElhaney got that many last year.
No, you did. You played every
Did
game.
he? I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe
All
I'm
right.
wrong on
This is
that.
awkward. So he's not on the list. Anyway,
Well, let me look here. Yeah, McElhaney. No, he only had 14.8.
fuck's- okay. Did you say
Sorry.
15 plus? Oh
He
God.
played, yeah,
Yeah.
the top three, the
Damn.
one of them played 15 games, the other one played 23, the other one played 22. The
Oh,
leader played
oh.
15.
This is embarrassing because I can't think. This is bloody 12:07 a.m. Like, okay. Matt Crouch.
Matt
Yeah,
Crouch,
did
yep.
he play? Yeah, okay. Ding.
He
All
led it,
right.
yep.
Okay. Who else we got? Laird?
Laird
Laird?
was,
No.
yep, he was second at
Yeah. Yeah.
27.6,
Second.
yep.
Uh, who was oh God.
This one
I'm blank.
you've talked about this gentleman quite a bit tonight.
Oh, Lucky Murphy.
No.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
The ball's too
I've
big
talked
for him
about
to carry anyway, from what I hear.
the ball.
The ball.
Oh, okay. Is it Rochelle?
Jordan Dawson.
Oh, for fuck's sake. How the yeah. Anyway. Sorry, Dawes, if you're watching.
That's
Love you.
well, you know what?
Anyway.
If he is, I hope he is. But
Yeah.
I'm not holding my breath on that there. So, okay,
Hmm.
these two players had more than 130 tackles for the club last year. They led the club with 130 plus tackles.
Uh, tackling machines. Would be Laird would be one of them.
He is. He had
Yeah.
132. The other one
Okay.
had 134.
Oh, shit. Um, nah, I'm blanking.
Jordan Dawson.
Oh, God, for fuck's sake. Keep forgetting that engorged man brute. Um, oh, speaking of engorged man brute as well, Darcy Fogarty.
Hmm.
Oh, he is hot. Um,
Yeah.
that's all I can say. Shout out to Soph, one of our co-hosts as well. She loves a good farm boy, and I said she only likes farm boys for the tax credits. She says no, it's because they're also good looking. So, but
Is that is that
no,
how is that how the Cats are able to get Hawkins and Cameron and that sort of thing down south?
I reckon it probably is actually. I mean, they're the only regional club in the AFL, so surely they're some sort of, they class GMHBA as some sort of paddock, and just
Well, I
write
know
off
that
everything through
I know
that.
several Collingwood supporters that referred to it as a quote unquote paddock, and I call bullshit on because they've never seen the goddamn thing in person.
It's so true. It's right. Look, I think GMH. Look, the problem with GMHBA, and I'll be honest here. One, I hate Geelong as a city.
Yeah,
Okay, I think it's a very very dour city, and when the
yeah,
Ford plant did close, it got even more dour.
uh-huh.
Um, and the wind blows straight off. Port Phillip and Corio Bay just all year. It's just wet, cold, miserable. Somehow they managed to keep that ground somewhat in check, but also it's in a marginal federal electorate. So
Hmm.
there's always some sort of renovation that's happening at GMHBA where they're getting, yeah, I know, lucky ducks,
Yeah,
that sort of
yeah.
thing. Nothing like a good pork barreling stadium, which is what
There
I
you
call
go.
it on our podcast too. It's the pork barrel stadium. Should be in the shape of a barrel, actually. So is what it is. How the hell did we get there? I don't know. Anyway,
I, I
hit me with any more trivia if you got it, Craig.
okay. Let's
Yeah.
see here. This 21 game player led the club last year with 5.7 one percenters per game.
Oh, the highest amount of one percenters.
Yeah, and his name has not come up tonight.
Riley O'Brien.
Mm-mm.
Oh, I'm trying to think of there was. I remember reading about the one percenters. No, tell me.
Mark Keane.
Oh God, Mark Keane. See, he's another engorged man brute, and my wife loves him because he's Irish too.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
apparently, Irish guys are all the rage. Um, I still don't know how they had the potato famine over there when it's a island surrounded by fish, but that's just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess,
anyway,
I guess they were all spuds and couldn't okay, no, we won't go
well,
there.
there you go.
Yeah. Okay. So I got four more here for you. These three players led the club in goals kicked for last year.
Okay, that would be Taylor Walker.
Nope.
Um, in the goals kicked last year.
Yeah, these three led the club in the total number of goals kicked, and Taylor Walker was not one of them.
Oh, sorry, I'm having a brain fart.
It's okay. He
Darcy
he
Fogarty.
was he was fourth, I believe. Yeah.
Fog?
No, no. Taylor Walker was fourth.
No, no, I understand.
Yeah,
Darcy Fogarty,
Fogarty,
though.
Fogarty 41. Yep.
Yeah. Isaac Rankin.
Nope.
No, no, that's right. He did his hamstring and all that shit. Oh my God. I'm having a brain fart.
One we've spoken about
Josh
a lot.
Rochelle.
Rochelle had 30, and somebody else had 34. This is the one we've not spoken about tonight.
No, hit me.
Ben Keys.
Oh, he's another hottie, isn't he? He's another. He's a good boy, and he
You know,
shit his pants as well last year too, and said no, it was just mud. Shh, don't tell anyone. It's just
you
poo.
know,
All right,
it could happen. It could
it
happen.
can
Yeah.
happen.
Yep. So, which two clubs have the Crows defeated the most in their history?
Ooh, that's a cool one. Um, I would say Brisbane. Like, okay, cumulative amount.
Cumulative amount.
Uh,
One of them they've won 31 games and lost 17. The other one they've won 29 and lost 22.
God, it's a fucking good question. Um, Melbourne? Yeah?
No, I was
No?
good.
Oh,
North Melbourne. North
oh
Melbourne.
shit. Okay. So I thought there was a thumbs up. I was
Nope.
just like, oh,
No,
all
we're
right.
heading north a little
North.
bit. North Melbourne, 29 wins. Yep.
Okay. Uh,
And this has been the correct answer for most clubs.
Gold Coast. No, no,
St.
Jesus Christ.
St. Kilda.
Uh, say, great. That,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
I've got a proposal for you, Craig.
Uh-huh.
Why don't the AFL just fuck off St Kilda to Tasmania?
Um,
What's
I, d-
stopping
I,
them? What's stopping them?
I,
Because,
I, I,
St Kilda, they've done fuck all. What have they done? Nothing.
they've won, they've
Nothing.
won, a, they've won a premiership by a
Yeah,
point.
one
Yeah,
by a
exactly.
point.
Exactly.
Back in black and white TV.
I
Like,
know.
see,
Yeah.
for yourself, your premiership is in crystal clear high def, as good as Seven can do it. Mine is on 4:3 letterbox,
Yeah.
Sony Trinitron sort of
Yeah.
format. Theirs is on film.
Yeah.
It's on crystalloid. Like this is bullshit. I think
Yeah.
they should
Well,
fuck off.
well,
And yeah, yes, yes. Just say yes, Greg. Yes, yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah.
I know
Say
it's your
shit.
podcast,
Yeah.
but yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Anyway,
prior
I'm
to
not doing good
2020,
in this trivia. This is
no,
not
that's
good.
okay. Prior prior to 2024, where Darcy Fogarty led the club in goals kicked, who was the last player not named Taylor Walker to lead the club in goals kicked? And it happened in 2018.
Eddie Betts, 2018. It wasn't Eddie Betts in
Wasn't Eddie
2018.
Betts? Nope.
Josh Jenkins.
Josh Jenkins. Yep.
Yeah.
46 goals, 27 behinds. Yep.
Yeah,
We'll give
yeah, yeah.
we'll give you the silver medal for that one.
Well, yeah.
And last question for you. Who won more games as a Crows senior coach, Malcolm Blight or Matthew Nix?
Well, Blighty, it was only 2.5 seasons, but I would I would say Matthew Nix just.
It was close, but Matthew Nix, 37 wins, 68 losses. Blighty had 41 wins, 33 losses. So he had him by
Okay.
four, but in a shorter period of
Yeah.
time. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely a shorter. Yeah.
Yeah.
But see that okay, if you want a weird period for the club, um, the Malcolm Blight tenure,
Hmm.
very like okay, two premierships, right?
Yeah.
And we've interviewed Malcolm Blight too. Please go back and listen to that one because it's a real doozy. Actually, a really nice dude, for someone that's done as much as he has.
Yeah.
Um, but to just go halfway through the 99 season and just be like, nah, fuck this, I can't do this anymore. It's just like, it's, you know, what? Like, and then the other part is the fact that Gary Ayres is just following in his footsteps. He
Hmm.
goes to Geelong to begin with, um, and then comes to the Crows, and then Gary Ayres goes to Geelong to begin with, and then goes to the Crows too. And it's like,
Yeah.
another reason why St Kilda should fuck off to Tasmania is that they had Malcolm Blight as coach and decided, no, we're going to go for Grant Thomas. That's like having a fucking uh, Chevy Escalade, right,
Hmm.
ready to go, 0 miles. It's free. You can have it, and saying, no, I'm really gonna have that, clapped out Toyota Tacoma over there that's, got a rusted floor and done 300,000 miles. Like, please, like, just silly. They could have had a premiership. St Kilda could have had a premiership and they
Yeah.
fucked it. So, yeah.
But they brought Lost Linebackers. I mean, they've got that going for them.
Uh,
Yeah.
is it going? I
No,
don't think so.
there you if you want to infer that there was sarcasm implied there, you go right ahead. If you don't want to, you don't have to. It's one of those open-ended things you can interpret it however the hell you want to. It could go either way. Uh,
Oh God,
so
yeah.
where can people find the Crowject before we wrap up here? If people want to follow this and if they want to get some of your merch because I've seen your merch on some rather interesting people that I wouldn't expect to see it on. So I just saw one of your posts
Oh
on
God,
Instagram
yeah.
recently. So who did you see wearing some of your gear recently?
Oh, so Shane Gillis has been rocking our GoCrom hat.
Hmm.
Thanks to James McCann for giving him that one, but he's been wearing it a lot, and
Yeah.
it's really weird. Because I've had people like, "How much did you pay for that?" And I'm like, "Nothing." Like he's just wearing it. So,
Yeah.
um, and look, I think Shane Gillis appreciates the fact, and James McCann has said the same thing too. The reason that the GoCrom merch that we do, that has been born from a shitpost and a boomer 10 years ago misspelling crows. The reason it's gone so well is because our club doesn't have a culture. We were
Hmm.
born in a courtroom. We have been born out of spite. So
Yeah.
that's what we do well. So look, go to crowject.bigcartel.com is where you can get some merch. We ship it pretty cheap to the US too, if you're listening.
Okay.
Given your pod is a yank on the footy too. Uh, but look, if you just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just search Crowject, Crowject. We're going to be doing our prediction pod very soon, and look, we've got a plethora of things that we've done previously. We've done recalls of some games. We did recall the '97 grand final too. Like we've done so much on
Now,
there.
how
We've
does that
close
how
to
does that work when you do a recall? What do you
So
how do you
we had to one of the callers for 5AA, Sam Tugwell, who's a friend of mine,
Hmm.
and what I've done is that I went into Adobe Audition and basically was able to render down all the commentary. So I was able to create a track of just the noise of the crowd itself. Took a
Okay.
while. And then we literally just play the game back. So
Okay.
what we do is that we actually have like a proper like commentary sheet of all the names and everything, and
Hmm.
we try to have all the stats. It's a bit difficult when it's from a VHS copy, and there were a couple of times ads came on out of nowhere, so very weird. But at the same time, it's really cool to revisit it because I think for two of the people that were doing the commentary, they weren't born,
Right,
and I
right.
can remember that day, clear as day, when I was uh, almost 9. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool to go through. The other thing we're doing at the moment too is that we're currently archiving. Graham Corns, the inaugural Crows coach, gave us
Hmm.
his whole collection of the uh, Betamax and VHS satellite quality feeds of all of his game tapes, and these
Wow.
are like this is like
And
I
I bet
remember
his son,
someone.
I bet his son is pissed about that too, just because.
Yeah, yeah, fuck him. But this was after the interview that we did with him, and we just said, "Hey, you got any old tapes?" He's like, "Yeah, I've got them sitting up in the attic. You can keep them." And these are like 4 archive boxes
Uh-huh.
of straight from the broadcast truck. Like
Wow. Wow.
clean as. And Zach Arns, who's one of the guys from ESPN Arkansas, he's told me that he has a bunch of Arkansas Razorback games that are the
Hmm.
exact same, where he used to work in TV, and I was telling him about my experience, and like we've had to, as a podcast, we have a Patreon as well, patreon.com/Crowject, that helps to fund. Like we had to get some of the tapes converted from Betamax as well, because it's hard enough finding a VHS player these days, let alone a
Right,
Betamax
right.
one,
Yeah.
and get it converted over. And we're submitting all of the tapes, as in now that we've digitized them and everything, we're submitting them to the National Film and Sound Archive. So,
Amazing.
because
That's awesome.
even the club don't have copies of this stuff, and we don't want this lost. We don't want
Yeah.
this, gone in any way. And yeah, so
I mean, that's that
we do a
that
lot
right
off the
there.
pod. Mm.
That right there. You've got your 847-year-old tea drinkers sitting in front of you at the games. But if you figure out a way to make that to get that stuff out there for young people
Yeah.
to promote, I mean that there's how you go about regenerating that gentrifying your list of supporters right there is through being able to show here's the wonderful stuff that has happened in this club in the past.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
That's
look,
amazing.
you're right there, Craig, because a lot of it is, knowing the history, and we're going to do a couple of video series too coming up. So given it's coming up to 10 years since Phil
Hmm.
Walsh has passed away, and there was a huge mental health aspect to that too, which is something that's very close to my heart as well. We're actually doing a series around the death of Phil Walsh, as blunt as that sounds, but more to talk about the things that led up to it. And there's been a bit of a Mandela effect that some people have had. Like, my experience about it, because I was working in ICU at the time, was a
Yeah.
really strange experience because I was at work and when I found out about it and through colleagues, that sort of thing. Um, but everything that happened in that week afterwards was really numbing
Yeah.
as a footy fan too. And everything from that point. So we're actually going to be talking to some the at the time AFL listed players who were on the Crows list at the time to talk about how it affected them. We're going to be talking to some people from Port Adelaide too that were a part of it, because Phil Walsh had a lot of time at Port Adelaide as well. And I think a lot of people forget the fact that it affected, personally, I think Port Adelaide players and off-field staff members more so
Hmm.
than it did um, people at Adelaide Football Club, purely for the fact that he was there for longer. So, and I give full respect to that. I don't think it's, I think this crosses rivalry lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's something we're planning now. So, yeah,
Okay, that's phenomenal. So I'll put links to everything in the show notes for this episode for you. And I know we've kind of played online tag a little bit. I've been
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
get you on here, and I'm so thrilled to have been able to talk with you. This has been an absolute delight. It's been a lot of fun. I think that everything that you were doing for not only for the game, but where you're actually taking your love of the game and being able to do wonderful things within your community, through your charitable work, while still being able to poke a little bit of fun at the at your rival club because
Oh,
you've
God,
got to
yeah.
be able to do that sort of thing. Um, but
Uh,
I do hope that I do hope that you'll be able to track down your former seatmates and maybe have them over for afternoon tea at some point in time as well. I think that would just be a nice way to say it. I no longer have a head cold, and they may not even remember who you are. By the way, you could just randomly show up and invite them.
No, fuck no. I don't want them over.
You know,
Hey, no, you need to give yourself a pat on the back too, mate. The work that you do as well in engaging the international community, especially in the US too, that's great. So, and I mean that in all
I
seriousness. I know
appreciate
it's
that.
hard
Yeah,
to do, and
there's a
yeah,
handful of us that are doing it. Donnie does a great job. The Castle brothers out in California do a great
mm,
job. I love telling people stories about the game.
yeah,
I I always say, when I do my interviews, they're always rooted in footy, but then they go into all sorts of different avenues and different directions. I mean, I spent about 45 minutes um, talking with a gentleman that lives about 300 kilometers north of Adelaide, who happens to be a Geelong supporter, who happens to also be a professional actor and is a poet and this sort of thing. And just, yeah, I'm going to
Holy
get him on the
shit.
podcast. He's just a phenomenal guy. That's it's just uh, I have to what he's referred to he's I can't remember the term. I'm not I don't have it bookmarked right now, but I had him. I watched. He's got a YouTube channel where he reads his poetry on there, and it's just he lives out he lives out in the scrublands and such in the northern part of South Australia. And it was just a fascinating guy, and he was just in a new Hugo Weaving movie that came out last year.
Wow.
That yes, I mean he's done he's been an actor for 30 plus odd years. He's just just a phenomenal guy. So it's going to be grounded in footy, but then it's going to go into all these other avenues. And I can't wait to actually get him
Oh,
on
God.
the show to sit down and chat about it because it's great to tell people's stories. It's one of the things that I love being able to do with this is just since I can't be there and you're an American footy fan, or even if you happen to be an Australian fan that's listening to the podcast, you're not in different parts of the country. So
Yeah.
you get a chance to learn a little bit about what makes other people tick that maybe support other clubs and that sort of thing. You're in other parts of the country as well. So I mean, it's just kind of a neat aspect of it. But Peter, I do want to thank you for taking time out of your evening. I know it's late there, sir, and I truly appreciate you carving out some time out of your evening to sit down and chat.
No, it's all good. It's all good, Craig. I appreciate your time too, mate. I'm going to use the excuse that it's now 12:27 in the morning, and that's
Yeah.
why I fucked up the trivia answers.
No, that's okay.
Uh,
That's exactly what it was. Evidently you didn't open up the email that I sent you all the answers for. I'm kidding.
shit.
I didn't
No.
send you
Oh,
anything.
thank God. Bloody
No,
hell.
I'll tell you what,
Still crap at him.
I did the last 2 years my Collingwood preview. I've done it 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. my time. So yeah,
That's okay.
yeah.
So
And I
7
mean
a.m.'s it's a walk in the park for you.
this was
Like,
easy for me. Yeah, like I said, I've got a half an hour. I have to be at a meeting to sign it do all my onboarding for my summer job, even though that won't be starting until
hey,
May. Yeah.
well,
Yep.
good
So I'll
work, buddy.
get all the paperwork done for that. But Peter, I appreciate your time, sir. This was an absolute blast. And when we're all set and this is all done, I'll send you a link to it and feel free to share it if you'd like to. And
Absolutely, buddy. Definitely
you
will.
bet. And I will talk to you again very soon.
Catch you soon. Cheers.
Cheers.
Ciao.
All right, Peter, thanks so very much for sitting down to chat today, sir. I truly appreciate it. This was the latest I think I've had a guest come on this show, relatively early for me, but not as early as my Collingwood previews, which have normally started at around 4 a.m. my time. Folks, remember you can find everything about the podcast over at my website, ayankonthefooty.com. I do hope you'll get subscribed over on YouTube as well. Just look for a Yank on the Footy. You can find all of those links over there at the website. If you enjoy the show, consider leaving a review. All right. Get on that mailing list as well. Trying to get to 200 people on the mailing list so that when new episodes come out, you've got them instantaneously. And folks, if you enjoy the show, consider sharing it with your friends and family. If you want to help out, you can certainly click on that Buy Me a Coffee button. That would be great. And look out for one another, ladies and gents. Check up on your friends. Make sure they're okay. If you need to talk to somebody, don't hesitate to reach out because the world is a significantly much better place with you in it. And we'll be continuing this series. We have 4 previews coming after this one yet before we wrap up our 18 individual club previews. And I'll be doing my own preview here very shortly as well. But ladies and gents, thanks for the continued kind words. And as always, may your dribble kick never hit the post. I will catch you later. And this has been episode 374 of A Yank on the Footy. Give it a share. Follow me on my socials. Get on that mailing list. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, cheers and goodbye.